In a stunning display of evolution and raw power, Nickal silenced every critic and erased the memory of his first career loss with a spectacular third-round head kick knockout that left jiu-jitsu legend Rodolfo Vieira unconscious on the canvas at UFC 322. The former wrestling phenom didn't just win, he announced his arrival as a complete mixed martial artist in the most dramatic fashion possible. From the opening moments, Nickal showcased a vastly improved and diverse arsenal, seamlessly blending his elite grappling background with sharp, technical striking that kept Vieira guessing and ultimately set up the fight-ending moment. The beginning of the end came when Nickal unleashed a perfectly timed head kick that connected flush with Vieira's chin, sending the Brazilian crashing to the canvas in an instant knockout. The violent conclusion earned Nickal a $50,000 Performance of the Night bonus and served as the ultimate statement rebound from his disappointing loss to Rainier de Ridder earlier this year. What made the victory particularly impressive was Nickal's strategic mastery throughout the contest. He systematically dismantled Vieira's game plan, stuffing all 6 of the accomplished grappler's takedown attempts, while consistently finding a home for his jab and combinations on the feet. Earlier in the fight, Nickal had already opened a cut near Vieira's eye with a slicing elbow, demonstrating the diverse striking tools he's developed beyond his wrestling foundation. The knockout represents a career-defining moment for Nickal, proving he's far more than just a wrestler trying to transition to MMA. By finishing a dangerous, experienced opponent like Vieira with a technique completely outside his original skill set, Nickal has re-established himself as one of the most intriguing prospects in the middleweight division and demonstrated the type of growth that suggests his championship aspirations remain well within reach. For Vieira, the loss marks a disappointing setback as he struggled to implement his world-class jiu-jitsu against Nickal's improved defensive grappling and ever-expanding offensive toolkit. As Nickal's highlight reel finish circulates through the MMA world, it sends a clear message to the 185-pound division. The former NCAA champion has evolved into a complete fighter, and his journey toward title contention has been reignited in spectacular fashion. The undefeated Michael Morales violently announced his arrival as a title contender by dismantling Sean Brady in the first round at UFC 322. The performance was so dominant and decisive that it has immediately positioned the Ecuadorian phenom as the likely next challenger for the newly crowned champion Islam Makhachev. Morales, who entered the bout with a perfect 18-0 record, needed just over 2 minutes to solve the Brady puzzle. Despite facing a significant grappling threat, the 25-year-old prospect demonstrated fight-ending power by dropping Brady twice in rapid succession. The beginning of the end came when Morales connected with a clean combination that sent the Philadelphia native stumbling to the canvas. Though Brady showed heart by rising to his feet, he was immediately met with another barrage of punches that put him down for good, forcing the referee's intervention. The victory extends Morales' flawless professional record to 19-0 and his UFC winning streak to 6-0 since arriving from Dana White's Contender Series. More importantly, the manner of this victory, a dominant striking display against a respected grappler, proves Morales possesses the well-rounded game needed to compete at the championship level. For Brady, the loss represents a devastating setback after building momentum with 3 consecutive wins, including a victory over former champion Leon Edwards. The defeat exposes ongoing vulnerabilities in his striking defense against elite-level power punchers, having previously suffered his only other career loss to Belal Muhammad by similar striking-based stoppage. With newly crowned champion Islam Makhachev watching from cage side after capturing the title from Della Maddalena in the main event, Morales couldn't have timed his statement performance better. The UFC now faces an intriguing decision: book the undefeated phenom against the grappling maestro Makhachev, or potentially have him face the winner of next week's Belal Muhammad versus Ian Machado Gary bout in a title eliminator. Whatever comes next, Michael Morales has unequivocally proven he belongs among the welterweight elite, delivering a performance at UFC 322 that will undoubtedly propel him into the division's top 5 and position him for a championship opportunity in the very near future. In a masterclass of grappling dominance, Islam Makhachev made history at UFC 322, systematically dismantling Della Maddalena to capture the welterweight championship and become the UFC's newest two-division champion. The Russian star put on a wrestling clinic across 5 rounds, earning a clean sweep on the judges' scorecards, 50-45 × 3, in a performance that left no doubt about his pound-for-pound supremacy. From the opening bell, Makhachev's game plan was executed to perfection. He effortlessly blended striking and grappling, using sharp low kicks to compromise Della Maddalena's movement before converting on takedown attempts with relentless efficiency. The former lightweight champion secured his first takedown midway through round 1 and never relinquished control, spending the majority of the fight in top position while neutralizing the Australian champion's dangerous striking arsenal. The fight unfolded as a stark demonstration of Makhachev's technical brilliance. Round 1. Makhachev established immediate control with an early takedown, working from half guard and later taking Della Maddalena's back in a dominant opening frame. Round 2. After some initial striking exchanges, Makhachev reversed a Della Maddalena takedown attempt and resumed his smothering top game, drawing restless reactions from the Madison Square Garden crowd. Round 3. The Russian continued targeting Della Maddalena's lead leg with damaging low kicks before scoring another perfectly timed double leg takedown, maintaining control until the horn. Round 4. Makhachev exposed Della Maddalena's compromised mobility, easily securing another takedown and advancing to back control, while threatening with submission attempts. Round 5. The final round mirrored the previous 4, with Makhachev immediately grounding the champion and controlling the action until the final bell. The victory extends Makhachev's winning streak to 15 fights and accomplishes what even his legendary mentor, Khabib Nurmagomedov, never attempted, capturing a second UFC championship in a different weight class. For Della Maddalena, the loss snaps an 18-fight winning streak and marks his first defeat since 2016, revealing clear limitations in his grappling defense against elite-level wrestlers. Makhachev's dominant performance immediately raises intriguing questions about his future. Does he defend his newly won welterweight title against contenders like Kamaru Usman or the surging Michael Morales? Does he return to lightweight to reclaim the throne he voluntarily vacated? Or does he pursue champion versus champion super fights against stars like Ilia Topuria? Whatever path he chooses, Makhachev has unequivocally cemented his status as the sport's most complete fighter, delivering a performance at UFC 322 that will be remembered as one of the most technically proficient championship displays in recent memory. The conversation around former welterweight champion Leon Edwards has taken a sharp and solemn turn following his devastating knockout loss to Carlos Prates at UFC 322, with voices now emerging not just questioning his future in the title picture, but in the sport itself. This wasn't just another defeat. It was a historic and brutal one, marking the first time in Edwards' career that he has been finished by strikes and cementing a troubling 3-fight losing skid for the man who once ruled the 170-pound division. Entering the bout against the dangerous and popular Prates, the Birmingham native was already carrying the weight of 2 consecutive losses, including the heartbreaking defeat that cost him the UFC title, and the hope was that this fight would be the catalyst for a return to form. Instead, the night ended in disaster for Edwards, who was caught clean by a crushing straight right from Carlos in the third round, sending him to the canvas in a moment that silenced his supporters. Carlos, showing no mercy, followed up with a series of unanswered ground strikes until the referee was forced to intervene, handing Edwards a loss that feels categorically different from any that have come before. In the aftermath, as the MMA world digested the result, the call for Edwards to consider his future came from a pointed and relevant source, Ian Garry. The Dublin striker, who had been loosely linked to a future grudge match with Edwards pending a win, took to social media to offer a starkly different suggestion. Rather than looking ahead to a potential showdown, Garry laid out his vision for the welterweight landscape, proposing a fight between the new terror Carlos and the rising Michael Morales to determine the next #1 contender. And for the fallen former champion, his advice was blunt and final. And Leon, retire. It's a stark piece of criticism that underscores how far Edwards' stock has fallen, moving from a name you fight to climb the ladder to a name some believe should no longer be on it. Meanwhile, the view from the top of the division has never looked more different. The new welterweight king, Islam Makhachev, who headlined the same card and comfortably decisioned Jack Della Maddalena to claim the throne, was already looking out at his potential challengers. When asked about the new wave of contenders, specifically the explosive Carlos and the undefeated Michael Morales, Makhachev was respectful but utterly confident. He acknowledged their talent and hunger, calling it a good job today, but ultimately saw nothing in their games that he hasn't seen or can't handle. He pointed to their youth and relative lack of big fight experience on the grandest stage as a key factor, calmly stating, "I can do the same things as them." It's a chilling assessment that paints a picture of a champion looking down at a division in flux, a division that now, painfully, no longer includes Leon Edwards as a relevant force, but rather as a cautionary tale and the subject of retirement talks. In a stunning display of grappling dominance that defied expectations, Valentina Shevchenko delivered a masterclass performance at UFC 322, destroying former strawweight champion Zhang Weili to retain her flyweight title via unanimous decision, 50-45, in a fight that was never competitive. From the opening bell, Shevchenko exposed the significant size and strength advantage that would define the entire contest. The champion's strategy became immediately apparent. Target Zhang's body with damaging kicks, then capitalize on her discomfort to secure takedowns and maintain relentless top control. The fight unfolded as a tactical masterpiece from Shevchenko. Round 1 set the tone when a Shevchenko knee to the body sent Zhang stumbling to the canvas, establishing both the physical disparity and the champion's strategic approach. A spinning back fist later in the round further stunned the challenger, before Shevchenko secured her first takedown. Round 2 saw Shevchenko continue her assault, dragging Zhang to the mat and advancing to dominant positions, including side control and a crucifix, demonstrating technical superiority in every grappling exchange. Round 3 featured more of the same pattern, Shevchenko absorbing Zhang's offensive attempts before effortlessly converting them into takedown opportunities, then maintaining smothering top control with effective ground and pound. Round 4 revealed Zhang's growing frustration, as Shevchenko's body kicks continued to find their mark, visibly affecting the challenger's movement and setting up yet another successful takedown. Round 5 became a victory lap for the champion, who imposed her will against the cage before securing a final takedown and controlling the action until the final horn. The victory was particularly impressive given that many analysts, including UFC CEO Dana White, had predicted Zhang's strength and aggression would pose significant problems for Shevchenko. Instead, the champion exposed the challenges of moving up in weight, with Zhang unable to handle Shevchenko's physicality in the grappling exchanges. Shevchenko's performance was historically significant, making her the first woman in UFC history to record 60 career takedowns, a testament to her evolving game and ability to adapt her strategy to exploit opponents' weaknesses.
For Zhang, the loss likely signals a return to strawweight, where a title fight against Mackenzie Dern potentially awaits. For Shevchenko, the dominant victory solidifies her position among the greatest female fighters of all time, and creates intriguing possibilities, whether defending against emerging contenders like Erin Blanchfield or pursuing a potential move to bantamweight despite Dana White's apparent reservations. The comprehensive nature of Shevchenko's victory at UFC 322 serves as a powerful reminder of her technical brilliance and strategic IQ, proving that even at this stage of her career, the Bullet remains one of the most complete and dominant champions in the sport.
Looking back on the turbulent period that preceded his departure from the sport, Jon Jones is now looking back with a sense of regret, expressing remorse for the way the final chapters of his legendary career initially unfolded before his official retirement. The entire situation was a whirlwind of public friction and fractured communication, a saga that began when UFC President Dana White, in a moment of clear frustration, announced Jones's controversial retirement from the sport. This wasn't a quiet farewell, it was a public declaration that came on the heels of a deeply frustrating period of stagnation in the UFC's heavyweight division, a time when the future of the title was mired in complete uncertainty. At the heart of the conflict was Jones, the reigning champion, and a man many consider the greatest of all time, who had steadfastly refused to unify the heavyweight title against the interim champion Tom Aspinall. Aspinall had captured the interim gold during Jones's extended absence due to a serious injury, and the expectation from the promotion and fans alike was that the dominant champion would return to face him and settle the division's hierarchy once and for all. But Jones remained unmoved, leading to a standoff that ultimately resulted in the title being vacated and Aspinall being elevated to the status of undisputed champion. In the aftermath, White did not hold back, publicly accusing Jones of going back on his word during their private discussions about a potential fight with the English contender, painting a picture of a fighter who had reneged on a promise and forced the promotion's hand. Now, several months removed from the heat of that very public dispute, a more reflective and apologetic Jon Jones has come forward, seemingly ready to admit his own fault in the messy heavyweight title saga. In a recent public statement, he offered an apology, a move that appears strategically aimed at mending the critically important bridges with the UFC brass, and perhaps most importantly, ensuring that his planned comeback in 2026 remains a tangible possibility. This olive branch from the Rochester native did not go unnoticed or unappreciated. Dana White was quick to respond, and his reaction was overwhelmingly positive and surprisingly gracious. When asked directly if he accepted Jones's apology, White's answer was an immediate and unequivocal absolutely. He went even further, insisting that Jones had no need to apologize for anything. A significant statement given the long and often tumultuous history between the two powerful figures. White was effusive in his praise, reiterating his unwavering belief that, despite all their past clashes and the unique experience of dealing with Jones over the years, the fighter's status as the greatest of all time is an unassailable fact. He dismissed the laughter that sometimes greets his proclamation, stating firmly, "Jon Jones is the greatest of all time. Period. End of story. I know it, and everybody else knows it." This mending of fences and the warm reception from the UFC president could have major implications for Jones's future ambitions, most notably reigniting his hopes of being a central figure in the historic UFC event planned for the White House. The prospect of competing at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue quickly reversed his initial retirement decision, and he has been the most vocal advocate for a spot on that grand stage ever since former President Donald Trump announced the plan to host UFC fights as part of the nation's 250th anniversary celebrations. Initially, White had firmly and publicly rejected Jones's pleas to fight at the Washington, D.C. event on June 14th, a denial almost certainly rooted in the champion's history of unreliability and the recent bad blood between them. But with this new era of reconciliation, Jones may now see a glimmer of hope.
he has continued to relentlessly push for a super fight against light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira at the White House, and Dana White's recent conciliatory and complimentary comments will undoubtedly be taken as a sign that the door, once firmly shut, is now ever so slightly ajar, making the dream of a career-capping performance on the most unique stage in American sports feel just a little more possible.
In a performance that solidifies her status as a top contender in the women's flyweight division, Erin Blanchfield showcased her well-rounded game and finishing instincts by submitting Tracy Cortez with a rear naked choke in the second round at UFC 322. The bout began with a surprising tactical choice from Blanchfield, who opted to test her striking against Cortez, despite her renowned grappling pedigree. For much of the first round, that decision appeared questionable, as Cortez got the better of the stand-up exchanges. However, cold-blooded turned the tide in the final minute of the opening frame, unleashing a damaging flurry that left Cortez bloodied and foreshadowed the dramatic shift to come. The second round saw Cortez attempt to seize control with a takedown of her own, successfully grounding Blanchfield early. But that moment of advantage proved short-lived as Blanchfield demonstrated her superior scrambling ability, quickly reversing position and forcing a stand-up. The fight's decisive moment arrived when Blanchfield finally implemented her grappling game, shooting for her first takedown with under 2 minutes remaining in the round. She immediately advanced to back control and began hunting submissions, first attempting a head and arm choke before Cortez powered back to her feet. But Blanchfield's technical prowess proved overwhelming as she swiftly returned Cortez to the canvas, secured back control again, and sunk in a fight-ending rear naked choke that forced Cortez to tap at 4:44 of the second round. The victory marks the first submission loss of Cortez's MMA career and represents a significant rebound for Blanchfield, who reestablishes herself firmly in the championship conversation. For Cortez, the defeat halts her momentum after building an impressive winning streak, though she demonstrated competitive striking and initial takedown success before being overcome by Blanchfield's superior ground game. With champion Valentina Shevchenko successfully defending her title in the co-main event, Blanchfield's emphatic finish positions her as a logical next challenger in the flyweight division. The performance at Madison Square Garden proved that when Blanchfield commits to her grappling strengths, she possesses the technical sophistication and finishing ability to threaten any opponent in the weight class.